Commander Weston helped Agnes, and then almost immediately destroyed her future. That contradiction alone is what makes the Testament Season 1 finale one of the most quietly devastating episodes of the season. Because if Weston truly cared about Agnes enough to use his influence and free Becka from that holding cell, then why walk away from their engagement right after? Why protect Agnes one moment and reject her the next? Was he genuinely trying to distance himself from the growing Dr. Grove scandal, or did Agnes's heartbreaking confession suddenly make her undesirable in the eyes of a powerful man raised inside Gilead's brutal belief system? The answer is darker than it first appears, and honestly, it says everything about the kind of world Agnes is trapped in. Because what happened in this finale wasn't just about a broken engagement. It exposed the ugly truth about how Gilead treats girls who survive trauma, how powerful men protect themselves, and why Weston's rejection may accidentally become the moment that changes Agnes forever. Before we get into the deeper meaning behind Weston's decision, let's quickly recap what happened in the finale, because the emotional fallout here matters. Agnes finds herself caught in the terrifying fallout surrounding Dr. Grove, a scandal that suddenly threatens not only her safety but Becca's as well. In one of the episode's most vulnerable moments, Agnes confides in Commander Weston and reveals something deeply personal. She was one of Dr. Grove's victims. At the same time, she begs him to help Becka, who has been locked away. Surprisingly, Weston actually listens. He uses his power as commander to intervene and secure Becca's relief from the holding cell. For a brief moment, viewers might even think Weston is different from the other powerful men inside Gilead. But then comes the emotional whiplash. Almost immediately after helping, Weston abruptly breaks off his engagement to Agnes, officially claiming he wants distance from the scandal surrounding Dr. Grove. Agnes is devastated. Paula spirals emotionally, and suddenly Agnes's carefully structured future inside Gilead completely collapses. Now, on the surface, Weston's explanation sounds logical, at least by Gilead standards. His official reason is simple. Agnes is now too closely tied to controversy. The Grove scandal is explosive, dangerous, and politically messy. In Gilead, appearances matter almost more than truth itself. Reputation is currency. One wrong association can damage influence, weaken standing, and create suspicion among other commanders. Weston likely understands that staying publicly attached to Agnes could place him dangerously close to questions he does not want asked. And to be fair, this explanation probably is partly true. Powerful men in Gilead survive by managing optics. They avoid scandal, silence controversy, and protect status at all costs. Weston breaking the engagement because of public perception fits perfectly within how this society works. But here's where the finale becomes much darker than a simple political calculation. Agnes herself seems to understand there is another reason Weston walks away. The show never outright says Commander Weston suddenly sees Agnes as damaged after her confession. The implication feels difficult to ignore, especially when you look at how Gilead's marriage system actually functions. Let's be honest about what these arranged marriages really are. Older commanders are not choosing young brides because of love, emotional connection, or companionship. Gilead dresses marriage up in religious language, but beneath the surface, it is about control, power, obedience, and status. These men seek girls who represent innocence, purity, and submission. Young wives become symbols of prestige as much as partners. That context changes everything about Weston's reaction. When Agnes confesses she was one of Dr. Grove's victims, something shifts. Not because Agnes did anything wrong, she absolutely didn't, but because Gilead is a society that repeatedly punishes victims rather than protecting them. And that is exactly what makes this moment so tragic. Agnes trusted Weston enough to tell him the truth. She made herself vulnerable. She came forward after surviving trauma. In a fair world, that honesty would inspire compassion and protection. Instead, she loses her future marriage. That emotional betrayal is what makes the finale hit so hard. Because even though Weston is not openly cruel about it, the rejection still feels devastating. And honestly, the politeness almost makes it worse. Weston doesn't humiliate Agnes publicly. He doesn't insult her. He doesn't shame her outright. In fact, he grants her one final favor by helping Becka first. Then he quietly steps away, offering what sounds like a practical explanation. But that calmness reveals something terrifying about Gilead. Cruelty inside this system often looks polite. That's what makes it so disturbing. Weston likely believes he is behaving reasonably. From his perspective, he probably helped Agnes when she needed him, fulfilled his obligation, and then made a strategic decision to protect himself from unnecessary complications. He may not even see himself as the villain in this story. And that says everything about how deeply broken Gilead really is. The system is so twisted that powerful men don't even need to be openly monstrous all the time. They simply follow the rules that already favor them. Gilead teaches everyone, including women, to view value through purity, reputation, and obedience. So when Agnes's circumstances suddenly become messy, Weston walks away without ever needing to say the cruelest part out loud. Agnes already understands it. That's one of the saddest details in the entire finale. Notice how Agnes reacts. There is pain, shock, disappointment, but there is also understanding. She seems to recognize what this means almost immediately, and that reaction tells us something heartbreaking. Agnes knows how Gilead works. She understands that older commanders seek very specific kinds of young brides. Once a girl no longer fits that ideal, fairly or unfairly, interest disappears quickly. Again, the show leaves room for interpretation. Weston's decision may genuinely be driven by scandal concerns alone, but the emotional framing strongly hints there is more happening underneath. And viewers picked up on that instantly. Because let's ask the uncomfortable question nobody inside Gilead wants to admit. If Agnes had confessed the scandal existed, but not personally been one of Grove's victims, would Weston still have walked away? That question changes everything, because if the answer is no, then this finale quietly exposes one of Gilead's darkest hypocrisies. Victims suffer twice, first through abuse, then through punishment for surviving it. And that is exactly why this storyline feels so emotionally brutal. But strangely enough, Weston ending the engagement may secretly become the best thing that could have happened to Agnes. That sounds completely backwards at first. After all, losing a commander husband inside Gilead is terrifying. Marriage equals survival, status, and protection. Without it, women often face uncertainty or worse. Paula understands this immediately, which is why her reaction becomes so emotionally intense. And honestly, Paula's spiral deserves way more attention than people are giving it. Because Paula isn't just upset about a canceled wedding, she is terrified. To modern audiences, losing Weston looks like escaping a bad situation. But to women living under Gilead, losing a marriage prospect can feel catastrophic. Paula knows exactly what society does to girls associated with scandal. She understands opportunities disappear quickly, reputations stick, and truth barely matters. In her eyes, Agnes's future suddenly becomes unstable, vulnerable, and frightening. And honestly, Paula is probably right to fear that, because Gilead does not reward innocence, it rewards appearances. That distinction matters. A victim can still be punished if her situation becomes inconvenient for powerful men. But here's where the finale becomes smarter than many viewers first realized. Weston ending Agnes accidentally gives her something she has barely had all season: freedom. Or at least the closest thing to freedom someone like Agnes can realistically have inside Gilead. Think about it. Before this moment, Agnes's future had already been decided for her. Her marriage was arranged. Her path was fixed. Every major decision about her life happened around her rather than by her. She was being pushed through Gilead's machine exactly as intended. Then suddenly, everything collapses. The engagement ends. The future disappears. And weirdly enough, that collapse creates possibility. Instead of becoming Commander Weston's obedient young wife, Agnes now stands at a crossroads, and for the first time she begins actively thinking, moving, and choosing differently. That shift matters more than the breakup itself, because this feels like the beginning of Agnes transforming from someone controlled by Gilead into someone learning how to strategically survive it. And honestly, Weston may have made a massive mistake, because rejecting Agnes removes one of the strongest systems controlling her life. She no longer has to shape herself around his expectations. She no longer has to prepare for a marriage she never truly chose. Instead, she starts making moves, helping Becka, thinking ahead, navigating danger more strategically. The finale quietly hints that hardship may actually make Agnes stronger, and that could become terrifying for Gilead. Because history inside dystopian stories always follows the same pattern. Systems built on oppression tend to underestimate the people they break, especially young women forced to adapt. Weston probably sees Agnes as a complication he removed from his life, but what if he unknowingly created something much more dangerous? What if rejecting Agnes becomes the exact kind of woman Gilead should fear? Because if Agnes truly starts stepping into her own power after this moment, Weston may one day realize rejecting her was the biggest mistake he ever made.